chronicles her journey through the trauma she experienced following her father's death in the book The Other Side of the Gun, a book born out of her desire to heal herself and the mission to help others in their healing. Susan?
Thank you.
That's my wife.
All right, so it took me 4.5 years to write this book. And part of the reason is because I had to really dive. And I had to allow myself to be super vulnerable. So I'm going to read you the first chapter. My book is actually in 2 parts. The first part is about all the trauma, and the second part is how I got through it. The first chapter is called The Night That Changed My Life. Mom looked tired as she came through the back door, still wearing her Halloween Tin Man costume. Remnants of silvery makeup lingered on her face. The sun was starting to set, and the temperature was falling by the time she got home that night, Halloween night of 1985. Mom's company had a contest for the best Halloween costume, and she had wanted to win. She told me about the contest and all the drama of the day, and then she adjourned to the kitchen. I answered the phone when it rang, and a woman from my brother's school was on the other end of the line. Her voice was shaky as she told me there had been a drive-by shooting and my dad was involved. My mom came around the corner from the kitchen, and I quickly handed her the phone. Something didn't feel right, and my legs gave out. As my mom listened to the woman speak, she wiped the remainder of her makeup off. I watched her face turn pale and her posture start to slump. When she hung up the call, she frantically said, "Susan, get in the van. We're going to Faith Baptist School." The 10 minutes it took to get to the school felt like forever, and the emptiness in the pit of my stomach grew closer as we got to the school. When we got to the school and parked the car, my mom almost forgot to pull the keys out of the ignition as she jumped out. The night sky was lit up by the ambulance lights, but it sat motionless. And when the police officers on the scene saw who was approaching, there were tears in their eyes, but their gaze was hollow. As we rounded the ambulance, Mom spotted my dad's truck. We both ran toward it. Shattered glass was all over the street, and the truck was riddled with bullets. My dad was slumped against the truck with a white rumpled sheet slightly covering him. I could see a sliver of his body peeking out from under the sheet, and a little bit of his hair blowing in the wind. When the police officers grabbed my mom's arm to hold her back, her legs buckled, and she almost lost her balance. "No, please, no," she screamed. She kept bellowing until she realized my little brother Ryan was nowhere around. I stood there in total disbelief. I wondered why no one was helping my dad, and I wondered where Ryan was. My dad had been at the school to pick him up. Was Ryan hurt? Had he seen what happened? The thought of what he might have seen terrified me. One of the school administrators and a police officer met us as we found our way back to the small parking lot. As we followed them to the school office, my eyes were focused on the other people weeping. Somehow, I still did not understand. It felt like my brain was stuck and I couldn't move forward. I heard 2 women speaking in the office. One woman said, "Tragically, Detective Williams was killed tonight. Someone drove by and shot him." Suddenly, it became real, as her words pierced me and sent chills down my spine. It felt like every nerve in my body was about to explode. "God, please wake me up from this nightmare," I thought. I felt a deep need to run as fast as my legs would go, but my legs felt heavy and I couldn't muster any strength. I just stood there in the office, yearning to hear my mom's, yearning to hear my dad's voice. My world collapsed, and I didn't want to be there anymore. I began to sob uncontrollably. The next part, like I said, my book is in 2 pieces. This is from chapter 19, and it's called My Journey of Growth Continues. We all have challenges in life, and some of us experience traumas that cause PTSD. But would I roll back the clock and change things if I could? The answer is no. I have grown into the person I am today, and I'm growing into the person I will become through the pain, trauma, and hurt I've endured. For much of my life, I've behaved as if everything happening to, within, and around me was okay, and I didn't let anyone in to help me. That was not a healthy way to live. Among the things I've learned is this: being brave doesn't mean you have to tackle life's challenges alone. It means you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable enough with your feelings to seek help. It's not easy to work through the emotions you deal with when you experience trauma. It's even gut-wrenching at times. But I know that if I do the work and move through, my feelings, there is freedom on the other side of pain, and I refuse to give up. Many therapists and spiritual leaders say we are given experiences in life to teach us lessons. The problem is that we tend to run from pain and seek out pleasure. It takes courage to stay with the pain, heading right into the internal storm instead of stuffing it, avoiding it, or circumventing it. But when I head into the storm with the right people behind me and with the right tools to work with instead of avoiding the pain, I survive every storm I encounter. Thank you.